All right. Welcome to day 2 of the 3P series, which is all about how you can get corporate contracts in 2025 as a small business. My name is Kirsten Allen, and I won't get into a long introduction because if this is your first video, then you got to go back to day 1 because day 1 is going to build on what we're talking about today. But you'll also get to know who I am and make sure you're in the right place. I'll be sharing my background and experience to show you and to give you the comfort that the things that I'm sharing with you are based upon true principles of working behind and inside of corporations and doing this work with entrepreneurs. And so make sure you check out day 1 before you go any further. Press pause here. You're not jumping into something that's hour-long videos or 2 hours, none of that. These are bite-sized, short trainings that get straight to the point. So make sure you check out day 1 before you go any further. Now, for my folks that have been here, welcome to day 2. I'm super excited to dive into the second P, which is places. So this is all about where do you find corporate leads? This is the number one question that I get, whether people are in my audience or once they come into the community, they want to know, where do I find the people? The interesting thing about this is that is not as hard as you would think, right? Corporate decision makers are all around. So here's the deal. Decision makers are literally everywhere that they are supposed to be. What you need to know is, how do you, one, show up with the right positioning before you show up in these places, which is why day 1 is so important. And then 2, how can you use your time wisely to build relationships quickly? The number one thing that I will call myself out, I have to make sure that I explain more in depth with people in my community as they prepare for contracts, is that this is not an overnight sensation. And so I know we love the popcorn success where we can just do something and get an immediate dopamine hit and results. I'm going to just go ahead and let you know right now, I have no shame in it. Corporate contracts is not that, right? So yes, there can be opportunities where you can find smaller, even lucrative opportunities very quickly. Like my client, for example, Arva, she was able to close the contract in 2 weeks, right? And so from her engaging with the right person and there being an opportunity right there at the door, she was able to get a contract opportunity out of that. Yesterday, I was actually on site with a major corporate partner, and he told me directly that they had some people in there who came just like me to, network and build some relationships. And they had some facility needs, right? And so they had people who came in who could provide that need. And he said, to those people, we had something going on right then. And I told them, we can get you started tomorrow. So the possibility of that happening is there, but it is not typical, right? It's the thing about being in the right place at the right time. Sometimes that works for us very well, but most of the time we have to do what it takes in order to turn these opportunities into wins. And so a part of what I do with the positioning and the places that we'll talk about today is help you figure out how you can be at the right place at the right time when that happens, but also give you a true strategy that you can hang your hat on and say, as long as I'm doing these things, I'm in the right places, something is going to turn for me when it is right. So this is why it's important and why I enjoy working with companies and businesses who are already thriving, right? This is not your last ditch effort to try to build your business, right? You have already built an amazing, sustainable business through the methods that you've already known and that you've mastered. And so now you're just looking to see, how can you go after the big fish, right? How can you go after the greater opportunities where it really is a relationship that can bring in, again, that quarterly or annual revenue goals. And so if that is like alignment with you, then this is where you want to be, because corporate contracts is not, people have started their business, it just strictly B2B, but most times they have a job or they have something else that is sustaining them while they're building relationships, while sometimes payments are coming through. Corporations don't just swipe a card today and the money's in your account, in the next day or whatever the case may be. It takes time. And so you have to have this foundation in order to go after these opportunities. And so I want to make sure that if you're not in that place, that's fine. This may not be the training series for you. I don't want you to waste your time. But if you do have a solid, thriving business, then these principles are going to work very well for you, because the relationship piece is going to take time, and being in the right place at the right time can take time. Even if I look at Arva, my client, yes, she got that opportunity in 2 weeks, but that was through months of diligence, right? Of doing the things that she needed to do to get her business set up. That was after having conversations with people where it wasn't the right fit. So I'm just going to be 100% transparent with you that even the overnight successes or the quick successes still took time to build. Right. So if you're in it for that and you're in it for the long haul to see the fruits of what it could truly be, to see those 6-7 figure contracts, it would be imperative for you to understand that even when you get in the right places, relationship is the currency that you need to have. And those things take time. Okay. I hope that served you. I hope that, helped, whether you're like, oh, that's not me, I don't have time for that. Okay, then that is good for you to not waste any more of your time with this. But if you're like, yes, this is me, I want to build these relationships, I have a thriving business, I have these things going on, I just need to get in the right places, and I'm willing to do the work because I know the value that's going to happen when I can get this right, when I can be in the right places, when I can be doing the right things. Okay. Now, places. One of the things that I'm using right now, and so I'm using myself as a case study, I go into these conversations, I get invited to meet with several corporations. At this point, I feel like for the last couple of weeks, I've been invited to meet some corporation in an exclusive event. And I go there for myself, but I go there on behalf of my community as well, because I'm looking to see, number one, what insight I can gain, what opportunities exist, and how, as we are continuing to add matchmaking to our services, how can I use the clients that I have and position them with these companies? So the places that, let's talk 2 areas. So one of the main things that I teach clients is definitely to have some type of email or online strategy, right? So LinkedIn is our friend to be able to build those connections and networks, right? And most times people are using those things, but they're using them wrong. They're using them to sell people things. I'll say it like that. They're using them to sell. And when I say to sell, I mean, hey, here's what I have to offer. Are you interested in this? Can I get you X, Y, and Z appointments, or whatever the case may be that these messages often come with? They're leading with, here's my thing, come buy it. My approach, and which worked for me in my career, and I am proud of it. I feel that it's led me to build a lot of relationships. I never led that way. One of my secret powers when it comes to selling B2B is actually doing less talking and more listening. That was a $1 million tip right there. Less talking, more listening, and less talking even in your emails, even in your written communication. Less talking, more listening. Less pitching, more opening the doors for conversations. That is how you will win. And we could close the conversation on that if you really knew how valuable that was. It's not about putting together a pitch. I actually don't even use that term. I understand that it's widely known and we want to be clear and things like that online, but you do not pitch anyone the first moment that you meet them, right? That is not the case. What you're actually looking to do is make it into a conversation. So if you're someone that's like, okay, let me put together this pitch, or what does this all need to include? Slow down a bit, because in all actuality, you just need to know the language of how to open the door to the right conversations. You don't have to know all the pretty words to say in a pitch. You just need to know how to ask the right questions so that you can then develop the right pitch using the intel from that conversation. I hope that didn't go over your head. If you're still with me, let me know that you're still with me. But that is the key. It's the open door to the relationship, is knowing the right questions to ask. So the emails and LinkedIn work, right? They work. I've gotten opportunities from it. Clients have gotten opportunities from it. Arva, who closed the client in 2 weeks, which I have her success story on my website page that you guys can check out. This was from a cold email, right? So it works, but you do have to be willing to work it. And I know that that makes sense for you all. Again, if you've had a successful business, you understand what it takes to work it, right? You're not looking for the magic pill or the thing that's just going to open the doors to everything. You understand things take work, right? We get it. So that is one key strategy that I suggest having. Now, when it comes to 2025, what I'm seeing now is there is a little bit of inundation. There is a little bit of uncertainty that may cause some angst with responses to people, that we don't know. There's some walls up for sure. We can be honest. The strategy works, but we can be honest and say that there is a little bit of some walls up. So we've got to do a little bit more volume in order to overcome that. Now, in addition, some of the key places that, again, I am being able to get into, and I believe many of you can use as well, and what I'm sharing with clients is use these communities where these companies are already partnered with. So what are those communities? Certifications. And so I know many people are saying, well, I'm not doing women-owned business certifications or minority-owned business certifications because DEI has gone away. Wrong. That's the wrong way to play it. That is the wrong way to play it. I'm telling you. These certification bodies, they're not just about providing you with this pretty, certificate that says you're a woman-owned business. They bridge gaps. They have connections. They are still partnered with some of the largest organizations that are still looking for women-owned and minority-owned businesses to work with. So while everybody's shying away and saying they're cutting back and there are other companies who are dialing in, and they're dialing in through these communities, certifying bodies, whatever we wish to call them. This is how they are connecting with businesses that they're ready to hire. So if you haven't done your certifications and you're thinking that it's a waste of time, I'm here to tell you these conversations are still happening. These partnerships are still going strong. And this is where you want to be in the room to make these contacts. Because once you make face-to-face time, then that makes emailing, that makes LinkedIn connecting way further ahead than if you were just starting with that, right? So places are going to be those certifying bodies. It's going to be networking events. It's going to be where your people hang out and where they're ready to talk about doing business. And so that could be in the most unorthodox places. That could be, I shouldn't say unorthodox, but it doesn't just have to be networking events. It could also be a local hangout spot that if you live in a metropolitan city and, people are still going to work, there's a lot of work buildings around. It could be a bar. It could be a lounge. It could be, a co-working space or something where these people hang out. Go out and start building relationships. I feel in 2025, local partnerships are going to be something that you want to deeply, deeply focus on. I see it just moving opportunities much faster. And I see it being the key to overcoming some of that resistance that you may find if you're just kind of taking a blanket approach and just trying to stab in the dark to anybody that you can reach out to. Being more strategic with your time is going to be important. And you have to have multiple ways that you're touching, right? So even in my career, and I'll tell a story about my background when I was doing these amazing sales with organizations in my past life. We had multiple touch points of how we were engaging people to close deals. So we had a team, and I know that you have a team as well. And as you're building out this division in your business, you want to think strategically on how you can use the strengths of your team. And so I'll say our $1 million winning team comprised of a couple of key roles. Number one, it was the person who was the inside salesperson. So this was the person that did pretty much all of the emailing, the phone calls. And so maybe even getting back into some phone calls. I know a lot of people are, working remotely, but for some of these places, getting on the phone is going to be the easiest way to contact them. And so that person was responsible for those outbound efforts. Then there was another team member who did the in-person stuff. So they went to the events, they did the trade shows, they did the in-person, sales calls and appointments. And oftentimes those relationships were working faster, but that wasn't the only way that we were connecting in order to close these deals. We had multiple things going on. So when you think about this inside of a small business, you likely already have someone doing lead generation, or maybe you have an executive assistant. You have someone that is skilled in researching and that can send emails with your guidance or with the guidance of a company like mine who has experience with B2B partnerships and can give some guidance there. That person can really run that online strategy for you so that you constantly have leads that you're working and new people that you're connecting with. While in my example, you as the CEO, as the face of the company, the key person of influence, if you've read that book by Daniel Priestley and Mike Reed, you are the face of the company to go out and do those trade shows, that networking, the in-person sales calls. Like both things run together. So it's kind of like being a quarterback and I don't know the other position. I'll be honest, I'm not a sports person, but if you are, you know what I mean. Who's the right hand to the quarterback, right? So you are the quarterback. You're the person that's the face of the company doing those things to move things quick. And then you have that person who is there running things in the background so that when an opportunity comes up or when, hey, this person is going to be at this event, you guys are working together to run a really, really strong strategy. So, online places, in-person places, they've got to work together. And then you also want to be able to use your LinkedIn or your website to do that heavy lifting for you from a search engine optimization perspective. And I'm not the guru on that. I just know a little to be able to get done what I need to get done. But one thing I will share is that being very primed on LinkedIn helps you be able to attract opportunities. And I know this for a fact. This happened to me several times. People will jump into my inbox or jump into my email because they connected with me on LinkedIn or found me on LinkedIn. And so that's more of a strategy that's just working for itself. So those are three different places, so to speak, of how to engage with corporations in 2025. You want to have, number one, just to recap, you want to have that person or, that way to market of doing those online, doing that volume so that you constantly have new eyes getting exposed to your company. And then you want to have someone who is the face, who is going out there, making face-to-face contact, building those relationships quickly so that you can be able to move that forward. And then you also want to have something working in the background. So this is similar to a company, right? They have websites, they have, commercials and all those things. That's the inbound stuff that's running, right? Even for me, as an account executive, some of that stuff that they were doing from a marketing perspective also brought me leads to be able to work as I was, going out and finding deals. But then the whole thing works together. So I hope that makes sense and kind of primes you all to be realistic about what kind of bandwidth you need in order to make this a division of your business. This is not just get a contract here and there. Of course, you can do many things just to do that. You could pick up the phone and probably, contact someone that that's within a company to just get something here and there. But to build out a division, to be able to say, okay, I have a goal to get to $10 million in the next year and the next 2 years or whatever the case may be. Yes, doing what you're doing is great, but you know that you're going to have to figure out what is the 10x version of that. And corporate contracts is going to be a huge pillar in what can move you to that level from 1x to 10x. But you got to be able to think about it as a division, and you've got to start preparing your team, preparing your SOPs, preparing your systems and your processes to be set up to have a corporate division of your business. And the great thing is you don't have to do that alone. And so it may sound, if this sounds like, oh, this is a lot. Yes, it's a lot to explain, but with someone who understands, again, the corporate structure and how that corporate structure fits into a small business, you have just gone eons from trying to figure it out, trying to build it from scratch, instead of already having a plug and play system that these companies literally have been in existence for centuries, some of them using the same strategies and tactics. And that's what we have today. So that is the end of the formal part of today's training with places of where to find people. And your action item for today is go and look into some of these certifications. Go start cleaning up your LinkedIn, whatever piece that you feel is a hole for you right now, whether it's your email, your online, your email strategy, your outreach strategy, whether it's inbound, your website, your LinkedIn, or if you need to start looking at how you can get in person as the face of the company to some of these organizations. Figure out what that is and create a plan around how you are going to take that further. Okay. All right. And so, as I mentioned, after the training, I would make an invitation to you. And I'm just going to say yes, but of course, you put it in the comments. I believe at this point, I've given you some amazing value and things that you can take and move forward. But I've also put you in a place of like, okay, I want to do this. I want to prepare my team for this, but I don't have the time to do it. I need something. I need something to be able to give me the step by steps on how to do this. And this is exactly what we do inside of the Get Corporate Clients Now universe, right? So, yes, we have a program, but we also have done for you services. We have some other things going on to fit people at various stages. And so the first step starts with you applying to work with me. And that link is at the bottom or wherever you're watching this in the comments so that you can be able to get in and begin to get this division up and running in your business. I'm super excited about this. Like starting divisions inside of companies is something that I've been wanting to do. And if this is something that you're feeling pulled to, that you've been thinking on, again, I'm talking specifically to you. I am ready to serve you with some of the things that we have going on to make this happen. So click the link, apply to the conversation. Again, it's a conversation, right? I just showed you how I sold to corporations. I don't come in and be like, you have to buy this. So that's not how I do you either, right? We're going to have a conversation. If we find something that's a good fit, we'll move forward. If not, no harm, no foul. Again, I'm keenly focused on speaking to my people who I know need this in order to move their vision forward. You got 10x goals, and this right here, learning how to do this correctly and positioning yourself correctly can make your 10x goals like way far more easier than what it would take to try to do what you're doing today at 10x, right? You already understand that. So I want my people and I'm ready to find my people, and I'm okay if it's not you. If you think it might be, you apply and then it turns out it's not, all good, because you're going to find your person and we are going to find those that we're assigned to as well. Okay. So if you are and you're thinking, yes, I need this, click the link below and I can't wait to speak with you. And then until next time, actually, we'll go into day 3 and talk on our last 3 of the P's, which is going to be packaging. So you don't want to miss that. Regardless, you don't want to miss day 3 because we're going to wrap this thing up and get you prepared and positioned for contract opportunities in 2025. And I am so excited to be able to dive into this with you. So I will see you on day 3.